Hello, I'm Gus Lorenz, retired extension entomologist, and this is our third installment of the Bugs and Bottom Line uh, podcast. And we in earlier uh, podcasts we talked to industry folks, and then we talked to some of the extension university entomologists about bugs and bottom lines and that kind of stuff. But I'm very fortunate today to have the opportunity to visit with Danny Moore. He's a good personal friend of mine. We've known each other for a long time, haven't we, Danny?
Since the 90s, early 90s.
That's a long time ago.
Yes, sir.
So anyway, we've known each other, and I have nothing but the utmost respect. It's one thing the industry folks can tell you how they think you ought to use their products for pest management, and the university guys got their ideas about how things ought to go, thresholds and sampling techniques and all that kind of stuff. But this is where this is where it really happens, and Danny is that connection between those kind of folks and the grower, and he's the one that makes the ultimate decisions on what products get used and how they get used and when, and most importantly when they're used, right?
Yes. Well, we make the recommendation and it usually gets put out.
Yeah. But so this is these are the guys that they live it every day. They have to come back and look at their decisions, and so they're very careful about the decisions they make, and they've got to look at that bottom line for the grower. They've got to make sure that when they make a recommendation that he's going to get a return on his investment, and that they're making the best recommendations possible. And it's not always easy, is it, Danny?
No, especially this year. It's been a real difficult spring.
Yeah, this has been a very difficult year, hasn't it?
I started walking fields in 1980 and started my own business in 87, and this is the wettest spring I've ever can remember.
Yeah, I had somebody tell me that this is the worst spring since 1957. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I was
It's either
told.
rained
That
every
makes
other,
sense.
yeah, it's
Doesn't it?
either rained every other day or every 3 days. Seems like
Yeah.
the last 30, 40 days.
So can you kind of give us a rundown on what you've been dealing with here in the last few weeks?
Well, we kind of, the cotton crop kind of got planted between the 5th of May and the 15th of May, pretty much. A little later than we've been the last 3 years, and we got a lot of cotyledon cotton. We got some first, second node cotton, but not very much. Most of it's cotyledon to first node.
And are you seeing any activity like thrips or anything?
We
like
were seeing some thrips, but it drained so much.
It's washed
It's
them
kind
off.
of knocked them back, and now what we're seeing is we're picking up some seedling disease in our cotton. And as soon as that true leaf comes out and we start picking up thrips, we expect to be spraying quite a bit in the next couple of weeks.
And have you made a decision on kind of what kind of products you're going to use in that case?
Yeah, we're going to use Intrepid Edge at 3 ounces. We like that because we can tank mix it with our herbicides, and knowing bad reactions to the cotton. So that's what we're going to recommend.
I got you. So are you going to be going over the top with your herbicides like Roundup and that kind of stuff? And so do you add a surfactant to that, or do you just use the surfactant in the Roundup, or how's that work?
Usually we'll just run Roundup. We'll run Roundup Liberty probably, and clean up some escapes that we got, and we won't add anything to it. But if we're using it by itself, we usually add 1/4% 80/20 surfactant.
Yeah, that we found out that surfactant back years ago was pretty critical for getting good control of thrips with Intrepid Edge.
Yeah. The reason why we like to use the Intrepid Edge instead of Orthene is we're in a spider mite hole up here in northeast Arkansas.
Yes.
We try not to flare the mites, so that's our chemical of choice for that very reason there, and it does a good job.
Yeah. Yeah, and with the resistance that we've seen developing with the acephate and other products, it's just It's what we got.
That's right.
So the other crops like corn and soybeans, or how is that progressing?
The soybeans crop's been planted and all the corn's been planted, and we're struggling trying to get some herbicides out on the corn still. It's just rained so much. It's been wet for
You had
14
you
days.
had a couple of dry days, I guess, in a row. It's like trying to string some dry days together, and they're calling for a pretty good chance of rain tonight.
That's correct. I think the guys planted their cotton crop one day at a time, probably 18-hour days, just trying to get it in. That's pretty much the whole crop's been like that, except for we had one little spell in early March and middle March. We was able to get quite a bit planted.
So looking at this crop, we're in this field. It's kind of weird sitting in a cotton field, you know.
It is.
Don't normally do that, but in this case, we're sitting in a cotton field, and it's cotyledon stage. Been planted about 10 or 11 days ago.
Yes, sir.
And so we're still, 35 days to first square from the time you plant. So we're still about 3 weeks away from starting to see some fruit and possibly dealing with plant bugs. But that's kind of why we're here. So I think we ought to talk about it a little bit. We've talked about what I want to do is talk about your approach to plant bug control and kind of how you manage plant bugs up here in northeast Arkansas, because we're sitting in a little area called the little community here is called Etowah up in northeast Arkansas, and things are a little different up here. This is the spider mite situation that these guys have to deal with impacts every decision that you make, pretty much, doesn't it?
Yes, I mean we try to choose our insecticides to manage spider mites, because they can get out of hand pretty quick up here, and we're going to spray them every year up here. Sometimes 2 times, sometimes it's 3 times, but so we start out using Intrepid Edge, try not to flare the mites there, and then once the last 4 or 5 years, what I've started doing is I use Transform. I really recommend it first 2 sprayings.
So you like it early?
I like it early. I know some people don't, but that's how I like to do it, because I seem to flare less spider mites that way.
Yeah.
And I usually run about 1.75 ounces twice. And then we've done pretty good with it. Every once we may run it 3 times, but most of the time we run it twice, and then we'll switch over to something else.
Well, from looking around, and sweeping ditch banks and that kind of stuff, and it seems like there's some plant bug activity out there. We had some pretty good stink bug numbers earlier in the year. When the seedling corn came up, there was a lot of fields that had to be treated for stink bugs, and so it looks like it, and with the reduced acreage that we got with cotton this year, cotton's a bug magnet. Every bug in the country is going to come to it. So we're expecting to see a pretty good, healthy plant bug population this year. Is that kind of what you're thinking?
I'm sure we will, as wet as it is, and the ditch banks have been staying green and raising multiple generations of plant bugs. I'm sure we'll have quite a few.
Yeah, I think so too. So when you go into squaring and you're into the, usually how far into the squaring do you get before you have to treat for plant bugs? Is it first, second, third week, somewhere in there? Or?
Usually it's second, third week.
Second, third,
for the most part.
Okay. And that's when you like to come with the Transform and get them under control.
I do. I've been using it probably 5 years that way, and it's pretty soft on the beneficials, and seem to flare less spider mites that way. Yeah, and that's what we're trying to do. Is
spider mites drive this system up here, don't they?
Yes, sir. No doubt about it.
And so what are you using for spider mite control?
We're using Zeal usually. That's what we're using.
You like, and
We used to use a lot of ivermectin, you know, but I've started using Zeal on the front end, and we usually get 3 weeks out of it, you know, if we got them bad.
so you're getting 3 weeks control with Zeal.
Yes,
That's
sir.
pretty good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's about all you can ask for.
That's right.
Danny, do you mix Zeal and transform together?
If we have to, but that's pretty pricey.
Yeah. and it is about the bottom line, right? You don't want to spend any more
Yes.
money for your growers
That's right.
than you are already. I mean, it's already bad enough, and with commodity prices where they are and the cost of production being up, I mean, you got to watch every dime that you spend on your growers, don't you?
No doubt, especially this year.
Yeah.
Well, I do that every year. I've always tried to get bang for buck for every insecticide or herbicide I put out.
That's what I like about you.
Yeah, everything we do up here, to be honest with you, the spider mites kind of drive our decision. I mean, if you spray orthene early, you're gonna spray mites early.
And this is a issue that's pretty unique to this area, that the spider mites are the way they are. They're not like this in other parts of the state, and thankfully they don't have to deal with it to the level that you guys do, but it does drive the whole system, doesn't it?
It does for me, yes, up here.
And we hadn't talked about Thrive On much, about how much of your acreage has got Thrive On.
Probably 15-20%.
So
we're still we're trying to find a variety that yield with the current varieties we're planting. So
I guess.
but now the Thrive On cotton, you can just pretty much drive by it and see it. It stands out on the thrips for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And so, how do you, when it comes to plant bugs, do you manage the plant bugs on Thrive On any different than you would conventional cotton?
Yes, we do. We kind of go on square set, more so on that than anything. And we tend to, I'd say it's 1 to 2 sprayings less on the Thrive On the plant bugs.
Yeah, that's about what our research showed when we were looking at that product when it first came out. So save you about 1.5, 2 applications.
We really like it on thrips.
Yeah, that's it. So Danny, I think we talked pretty much about everything we want to talk about today, and I really want to tell you how much I appreciate you and the job that you do for your growers up here in Northeast Arkansas. And I want to thank you especially for today, for taking the time to visit with me.
Well, that's good, Gus. I just want to tell you, I appreciate all the help you've given me over the years, all the advice over the years. I know I've called you a lot and asked you a lot of questions, but he's always answered the phone or called me back, no doubt.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, I when the phone would ring and I'd look down and I'd see Danny, I'd go, oh boy, I know this is going to be something that's going to be difficult, because if he doesn't know the answer, I probably don't know it either. That's the truth.
Well, it takes a team to get it all done. The growers,
and
all the entomologists and the weed scientists. It takes us all. So it helps to be able to communicate with everybody.
Yeah, it's nice to have somebody to talk to and work it out.
That's right, no doubt.